It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 864. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Thank you very much for downloading and subscribing to the show. Please visit the main website at miketechshow.com. You can email questions and suggestions for show topics at miketechshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to visit my YouTube page where each show is recorded and posted up on YouTube, and that's youtube.com/Michael Smith MTS. Don't forget to click like and click subscribe. Really appreciate that. This show is brought to you by MagnusBox. This is the best online backup service for your clients. They support all operating systems: Windows 10, Windows 11, Linux, Mac, Windows Server, all the versions. I still have clients with Windows Server 2008 R2 that they can't get rid of, and that's being backed up every night. So if you want to try it out and demo it, go to magnusbox.com, and don't forget to tell them you heard it on the Mike Tech Show, because you will receive free white labeling, $100 off your first invoice, half price for the first 3 months of the platform fee. And if you're already an existing partner and you recommend someone else, guess what? You'll get $100 off your next bill, and the new customer will get $100 off. So incredible deal. They're HIPAA compliant, everything you need for your online backup service for your customer. And that is MagnusBox. All right. Tonight's show got a lot to talk about. Had a really big FiOS outage in Pennsylvania, but it was just us. I thought it was a bigger outage because they were having outages, but I thought it included. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that. It didn't get fixed till today, and that happened on Monday, and that impacts a lot. It impacts my business. It impacts my wife being able to work remotely. So there was a whole bunch of things. Then email issue that was strange when you hear what the solution was. Adobe QuickBooks print issue. Seems like this is common, and I have a very specific fix that fixed it, and it is just for that problem. We're going to talk about Microsoft Copilot, which is coming out, which is the artificial intelligence add-in to Microsoft Office. And then something I learned from having lunch with a fellow podcaster on this Tuesday: help desk buttons. So gonna talk about that. First, shout out to Scott Johnson. It was great meeting with you on Tuesday. Scott actually referred me a client in this area in Florida, and he is a fellow podcaster, and he does the podcast, and the link will be in the show notes. What was that like? This is not tech, and what was that like is it's real people in unreal situations. So give that a listen. It's very, very, very good. And by coincidence, Scott was on Uncle Marv's podcast last night. So I haven't had a chance to listen. And that's like first on my agenda to listen to that. So very cool. Thought I would mention that. And actually he recommended the one program. So and also recommended, I'm attending the Florida Podcasters Association. They meet on a Tuesday night, and next Tuesday, April 11th, I'm going to be attending that. So I trying to, expand a little more, come out of my podcast shell, do a few things. So I will be, I'm looking forward to meeting with other podcasters in the Florida area. Heck, I'm spending more time down here than I do in Pennsylvania. Which brings up the Pennsylvania office. Monday, all of a sudden, I couldn't get to the VPN. I needed to remote in to my desktop, and I like using RDP over OpenVPN. And that's how I remote in to the desktop. And when I click, I couldn't get there. And I was like, wow, my VPN was down. This is how I connect to my Synology. And I'm like, what's going on? So my wife was there, and I'm talking to her, and I'm having her try and reboot some things, reboot the Verizon router. We have FiOS. And we slowly find out that there is no internet. And now my wife's like, uh-oh, she has to start work. So that means she has to head into work, because if there's no internet, she's got to, physically go in. Right now, she has to go in one day a week. Now, remember, she was supposed to fly down here last weekend, last Friday, and her work, that messed things up, and she had to cancel her airline reservation. And luckily, we have a full credit, so we'll just save that for another time coming down. But I wasn't happy, as everybody knows. Last Thursday night, that happened right in the middle of the show. She never calls me during the show, because she knows I'm recording, I'm live. So I look at my cell phone and I see that it's my wife. I just paused everything and muted, the microphone, and started talking. And I found out that, well, I won't be picking her up Friday morning. As a matter of fact, there wasn't going to be a post show last week, but that, since I didn't have to get up early, there was. So now, what's the problem? So I go online with Verizon, and they have features that you can, like, reboot the ONT, resend a signal. I did everything and could not connect. So Tuesday, my son had some work, and I had him go down into the garage and reboot the ONT. So no joy, no internet. So I remoted and scheduled a tech to come out this morning, for Thursday morning, 9 a.m. So that means we have no internet till then. Now, this is something that if you have your business and you're relying on, you got to have a backup. So my son has an iPhone, and we all have T-Mobile with unlimited, tethering if you need to connect the system, you make a hotspot. So you should always have a hotspot nearby. And that's what he was able to use when he was in the office. But luckily this week, he was on the road. He had a lot of clients that was nice that he had to go visit. So he didn't have to worry about that. But my wife, while she's there, has no television, no phone, no nothing. Well, you have your cell phone, but it's brutal. And this is kind of funny. She left her phone Monday night in the office, and it's not an easy drive, from there. So Tuesday, I thought I was being ghosted. I'm like, what's going on? And then finally, when my son got back to the office, he said, no. He says, Mom left her phone in the office. And so she had nothing, no email, because there's no internet. And if you don't have a phone, boy, I can't even imagine, like, not having all of those things. Losing the internet right now is like losing power. It really is. And since we've cut the cord for cable, I mean, it's pretty bad. Now, down here where I'm at in Florida, I have an antenna. And what is great is the antenna gets us a whole bunch of high-def channels on one TV. And that would be and that's great if I lose the internet. So I'm gonna pause. Can someone thank you very much? All right. When I pause like that and say sometimes there's trolls in the chat room, and that's why we have great monitors. So thank you, Taz. I appreciate that. So what was the problem? They checked everything in the house. They checked the cable they checked the fiber connection to the pole. It was beyond that. And they had to call a bucket truck out and actually replace a portion of the fiber connection. So that means they would have had to have a splicer to fix. I'm not sure because I wasn't there, but and my son had to leave for BNI, so it was just my wife taking care of making sure they could test. And sure enough, like an hour and a half into the problem, they got there at 9:00 and they were able to fix it, and I was able to remote in and everything working, and I could see everything come up online. So that was great. And my wife tested with the TV with the Fire Stick and was able to get out. So really great. The only thing that was after the BNI meeting, I made a list of some things for my son to check. He had to reboot the phones up there. That was the only other the last thing that had to be done. So it's amazing just not having internet, what the problem is. And I wanted to just bring that up because you got to start thinking, okay, what is going to be your backup? And think of everything that you rely on this for. Now, my wife has to connect to a secured VPN that consumes a lot of bandwidth. She cannot work with the applications that she's using. She needs to be wired internet and then remotely connected. So that's why she has to go into work. A hotspot is not an option for the work that my wife does. So that's, you have to look at each situation and then have something, for to work for when there's a problem. Now, let's take a walk and talk about the SureWeb email migrations that I've been going through and post-migration issues. I've been with SureWeb for years and years and years with clients, and they were on older Exchange servers. And since Exchange 2013 is retiring, they're moving my clients to 2016 and 2019. So with all the ones going to 2016, I'm literally going to have to go through this in 3 years from now again. So, and I, all of a sudden, with two big clients that have been migrated, anybody that I was emailing, that my son and I were emailing, if this was a new user created post-migration, we couldn't email them. Everybody else could. My Gmail account could email them. It was rejected with a very specific, where it could not find that account. I don't know why my mhsconsulting.net could not find them, but I was going back and forth with the technical team, and I said, look, you got to escalate this to someone that understands this. And they had to change an external relay that is used. And all the external relay, since all other users are target addresses, that does the redirection, but not these new ones, which are created after the migration. And since they don't exist because it was going to the wrong relay, they fixed that, and all of a sudden I was able to email them, which is really good because one of them was one of the most important addresses. It was a new CFO for my biggest client, and I had to email them with my Gmail account, and I just didn't like that. But tech support took care of it. So now, here's a strange error that a client emailed me with the screenshot. They're in QuickBooks printing to a PDF for Adobe, and they get the exception processing message 0xC0000139 unexpected parameters. So this is something that's very simple to just Google and see what's going on. And I am going to have the fix. This is a great article on troubleshooting anything that involves QuickBooks. And I'm putting it in the chat, and it'll be in the show notes. And this article is Fix PDF and Print Problems with QuickBooks Desktop. And the fix is to download the QuickBooks Tool Hub. And that Tool Hub has saved me a few times, and I've mentioned it a couple times. And I think anybody that supports QuickBooks, you're nodding your head saying, yes, you really need to do this. There is an option when you run this that literally there's an option that reads QuickBooks PDF and Print Repair Tool. I click that, and then you see a terminal screen come up and a whole bunch of things happening, and you just wait until it's done. You wait until you get the message that all is fixed, and it fixes the problem. So be aware of the QuickBooks Tool Hub, and that download link is within the page that I'm linking to that's going to be in the show notes. So excellent tool that you should have on your, you have that USB stick with everything we talk about and all the tools. This is one of those programs that needs to go on that. Okay. I'm a couple of weeks late on this, but Microsoft introduced the Microsoft 365 Copilot, your Copilot for work. And there's a video, and they talk about this. This is their implementation of ChatGPT, the artificial intelligence, and inserting it into Outlook and Word and PowerPoint. So notes. So think of typing the following: draft a proposal from yesterday's meeting notes. And it just does it. Create a PowerPoint presentation based on blah, blah, blah. And you mention what it is, and it just does it. There's going to be a separate price for this. I don't know what the pricing is going to be, but the productivity and being able to generate reports, proposals, there's lots of things here. And this is the tip of the iceberg. I've been talking a little bit about the artificial intelligence, and that's getting a lot of news lately. But, now with Microsoft integrating it in a controlled environment within Office, boy, it just, you see where we're heading with this. And I can just imagine the support calls we're going to get now, with Office. I'm already thinking of all the little problems that I run into, including 10 minutes before the show tonight, before I went live. Client that I worked on their system this morning, doing a full deep clean of their system because it's been a long time and system needed some maintenance. So everything's great. Client called me and said, everything's good, but Mike, I still have performance. It's slow for Microsoft Teams when I have a Teams meeting. And I figured, let me go to ChatGPT, and I asked ChatGPT for performance recommendations to increase the speed of Microsoft Teams on a PC. And I got the following list. Now, I don't know what's going to help until, we talk tomorrow, but I emailed them. One, check your internet connection. Microsoft Teams requires a stable and fast internet connection to work properly. And then it goes on about the speed. Okay, that makes sense. This one I didn't know. Number two, clear the cache. Clearing the cache can help free up memory and improve performance. To clear the cache, go to the settings menu in Teams, select the application tab, and click on clear cache. 3, disable unnecessary features. Microsoft Teams has many features, some of which you may not need or use. Disabling these features can help to reduce the load on your PC and improve performance. And it tells you how to disable the features. 4, close other applications. Running multiple applications can slow down your PC and affect performance. And it goes on. Yeah, these are all common sense. And I like the last one. Use the web version of Teams. If you are experiencing performance issues with the desktop application, you could try using the web version of Teams instead. The web version is lighter and may work better on older or slower PCs. What a tremendous list of things to do for my client. I am finding myself doing that a couple times a week, of hitting ChatGPT, putting in a problem, even though I have some suggestions and some of them are common sense. It's like having a little tech assistant giving me a nice list that I can communicate with my client, or for my son and I to actually try. Maybe thinking of some obvious things that you just can't think of everything. So AI's here, and I guess the message is embrace it. Use it to your benefit. Use it in your business. Use it to help you, provide better tech support. Why not? Now, speaking of tech support, this was recommended by, hold on a second. Give me, okay, now I'm ready. All right. This was recommended by Scott Johnson, and he subscribes to this. It's called Help Desk Buttons. It's a little icon. Well, there is really a physical button, but it's kind of funny. They charge you per desk that you roll out, and it's like $1 a desk, and you can have someone, you configure this to where the help desk button performs a whole bunch of diagnostic work for you and then emails you. So you could put this on clients that have support, that you have a support contract with, that it will, the problem request details. So once they click on that, then what the help desk button does is it builds a slideshow of the last 20 actions the user took before the button was pressed. Collects system information and logged in user accounts. Collects real-time processes, memory, CPU, disk usage, and hardware status. Collects a network diagnostics and completes connectivity checks. Requests information from the end user about what was happening and why they are submitting the request. And it's perfect, and it just sends it to you. So you are like really fully armed. I like this, but I have that sort of built in with my synchro that I have for those clients. So maybe you don't want to pay the full price of and rolling out a full, PSA RMM, but hey, $1 a month per client, and then you can upsell that. After he has a stack, a support stack of a couple things. You could have your antivirus, you could have this, maybe a backup, something else, and then that's a monthly fee that you're paying, and then just mark that up accordingly. So something I had never heard of, help desk buttons, and I just wanted to share that. That's a very, very, very good. Okay, I want to get to some emails, and first, Michael, for my email show, I think that I did that was last week, needed to make some changes for his default email, and he has a link that I'm going to put in the show notes tonight, that if you have a browser as your default for email, and then within the browser, let's say you have several emails, but let's say you have Hotmail, Gmail, and something else, but you want Gmail to be the default when you come across that mail to icon on the web and you want to bring up the right client, this is the link for all the things you need to change in Chrome. So how to set up Gmail as your browser's default email client. And thank you, Michael, I sent him a link, and then he sent me one that was a little better. So I appreciate that. This is, I forgot to get to this, and Bill, thank you. He emailed me a reminder for this. And this is a link I am going to put in the show notes, and it's about Tiny Windows 10 and Tiny Windows 11. I remember Tiny XP. This is just a light, stripped down version of Windows 10 and Windows 11. It's a YouTube that you can just watch and how to create this. So love it. Bill, thank you very much. Thanks for reminding me. And then this is a follow-up from Bill. I have owed you this for a while now. I was trying to convert my Windows 8.1 Enterprise to 8.1 Pro. You sent over some good tips. Well, I remembered that I might have a Windows 10 Pro license, so decided to see what would happen if I tried to install it. My plan was, if it did not ask me if I wanted to keep all my information, that I would stop. It did ask me, and away we went. It successfully updated to Windows 10 Pro, but with a bit of a further hassle. I know that I have to note all of the drivers I need before I kick off something like this. Absolutely. However, I did not. It is really aggravating when one of the drivers you don't have is the video, so that you have a giant font. Long story short, I did get all the drivers, and the computer is happily running 10 Pro. This is also a reminder to your listeners to always get the drivers ahead of time. Oh, those words are, that yes, get the drivers ahead of time, and back up. That's what you need to do. You must, before you undertake anything, before you install something big, one of the easiest things I do is I always do a restore point before I'm installing something big, because you never know what's going to happen. And you can always get back. Well, most of the time, so create a restore point. Make sure restore points are activated. Make sure you have a backup. You just never know. I have so many different backups here. I love Magnus Box, and I use it for my system. I eat my own dog food. I use it, and I have my system backed up every night. But I also do a weekly Acronis backup. And I make sure I do a what's the sync back, just a file and folder backup to an external drive here that I have connected. So I have the Acronis image local, I have the sync back that's done weekly, and then I have my Magnus box backup. That's a little bit overboard, but hey, this is my life. This is my business. I have to do this. And I have the same setup back in Pennsylvania. So even though I'm not using my system there, hey, that's still being backed up every night. So those backups go quick because there's nothing changing up there. So that is it. I want everybody to, if you're celebrating Easter, please have a wonderful, happy, and safe Easter with your significant others, your loved ones, family, friends, whoever you're celebrating it with. Please have a great and happy Easter. And I will see you back here next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.